Hey everyone, welcome to the Sackhoff Show. I am your host, Katee Sackhoff. Thank you so much for joining us on this wonderful, beautiful Tuesday. I want to take a second to remind everybody to stick around for the Hindsight, where we talk about this episode. It's really fun if you haven't checked it out. But also, we answer your questions and go through your comments. Send those comments and questions to the sackhoffshow@gmail.com. And also, I want to take a quick second to remind you all about the Patreon, where we have started this wonderful community, and there's lots of crazy awesome perks. So come and join us over there at patreon.com/the Sackhoff Show. Let me get into what this episode is this week, because I am so excited. This week's episode is with my wonderful friend and co-star, Brendan Wayne. If you don't know who Brendan Wayne is, let me explain. Brendan Wayne is the Mandalorian. Brendan Wayne is in the suit. He is one part of Mando, just like Pedro is, just like Lateef is. It's a throuple. It is every one of those guys. I've talked about this a lot and we'll continue to talk about it, that every one of those guys brings something unique to that suit and to that character. And I am so happy and excited that Disney and Lucas acknowledges Brendan and Lateef as well as Pedro. Brendan is the grandson of John Wayne. He is an actor. He is a wonderful father, fantastic husband. He is just a really, really wonderful man and friend. He has been in Sons of Anarchy, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D, Ahsoka, obviously the Mandalorian. And he's a wonderful friend of mine. And I am so excited to have him on the show. I met him during Mando. And we talk about it a little bit. We talk about his health journey because it's a crazy one and crazy story. And it's a really wonderful conversation. And I want you to get to know him better because I know you all are fans of Mandalorian and we all love Pedro, but I want to give some love to not only Lateef, who I would love to have on the show at some point, but Brendan Wayne, who is such a big part of the heart. And I cannot wait to do that. So I'm going to get out of your way and let you get to know my wonderful friend, Brendan Wayne, a little bit better.
Hi.
I love the fact that we to the best of our ability are 2 hours late on this.
Yeah, I mean, for me,
I almost missed it though because I was dyeing a shirt. So this time Robin was like, "Isn't Brendan coming back at noon?" And I went, "Yeah." And he went, "It's 11:59." And as I'm wringing black dye out of this thing, I was like,
"Yes.
Oh.
So I should. Oh, yeah. Okay.
I should go. How's your daughter? What happened?
Okay. So that's Lola.
Yeah.
Simone is allergic to bad soy, and she'll get she woke up one morning and she literally just had slits. And I was like, "What the hell's going on?"
Wow.
Daughter's dying, but it's just an allergy. So we gave her some Benadryl and it goes away. But she can't have any of those processed foods at all. And so she's actually helped me get really healthy, funny enough. But this one, we were in Vegas all weekend for a soccer tournament.
Getting healthy?
Exactly. I mean, we were pretty good. But she woke up and I already knew she didn't want to go to school today, but she woke up and she's like, "Dad," and I was dropping the other one off and she goes, I go, "No, you're going." And then she literally goes, "FaceTime me." I'm like, "I'm driving." So I accepted the FaceTime and I look and she's swollen. I was like, "Okay, you can stay home. We'll figure it out."
I love it. It's one of the things that I love about you. Besides working with you, but it's one of the things that I love about you is that you love your family and you hold women in such a high regard in your life and in society. Yeah. You're just, and I'm not going to say it's rare because there are a lot of really good guys out there.
Yeah.
but it's just so wonderful to see and to be around. It's just, I don't know why it feels refreshing, but it does. Like, I mean, I don't know. It just feels really wonderful. You love your family so much.
Well, I'd be somewhere not good without them. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a things happen for a reason guy.
Mm.
I think they happen because you did things and then, whatever. But I definitely was mature enough when my oldest was born to realize this was an opportunity to live for something so much better than myself.
Mm.
Not that I'm a bad guy. It's just that, I don't know. I don't know. It's easier to live for other people. It's easier to stand up for other people in the way my mom raised me, and that was it. Like, I don't know. I always did. And then to have a mom who was just a badass, it was like, okay, she could outshoot anybody. She at one point, different era. My brother Pete thought he was gonna get in her face, and she punched him right in the mouth and put him on his ass. Like, she's 6 feet tall, like, whatever. Like,
your
all
mom
those
was
things.
6 feet. Is your mom still with us?
No, she's 25 years ago.
Okay.
But,
Okay.
I mean,
She was
like,
6 feet tall.
6 feet tall.
She's taller than you, Brendan.
Oh, yeah. I could wear her boots. We had the same size shoe. Yeah. So I never had, like, I guess most people probably have examples of, like, and my dad he was a Navy pilot, but they were divorced by the time I was like 9. So, like, I didn't have, although her father was pretty macho,
Yeah.
but, like, I didn't have, like, in the house, other than my brothers, like a mature male to be like, this is what masculinity and strength is. Mind you, I saw it everywhere. There wasn't a show on TV that wasn't all about it, and I watched TV relentlessly, but my mom in life, like, walking around, like, nobody messed with her. Like, she was as tough as they came, and it didn't matter that she happened to be a woman. And she'd smoked since she was 12, so she had this voice that was deeper than mine. I mean, she's legend. Like, all my friends are like, dude, Tony, didn't mess with Tony.
But you actually just perfectly described, though, what makes a strong female character in film and television is that, your mom was all of these things and she just happened to be a woman as well.
Yeah. Yes. It's not because. That's brilliant, actually.
Yeah. Well, I think people have always asked me, like, what it was about the characters that I played, like, in my career that I looked up to so much, or that why I think Starbuck was so successful. And, and I think that's what it is that the writers created this phenomenal character that was so well-rounded and interesting and complicated and flawed and wonderful. And she just happened to be a woman.
Yeah. I love that you gave that to the writers, and kudos, but let's also take a step. I've seen great women written and then not seeing great women played, and that's no shade on them, but there is a complexity that you carry that nobody else. I mean, everybody's an individual. Nobody carries the same, but nobody's pulling that off with you. Your life, who you are, how you imagine your character, and then express your ideas through it are so specific that, and, I've been around, Ming was very different, strong woman, to, even, like Sedaris, like, she's still a strong woman, as funny as it is. Like, she's still telling Mando to pick that up and do this. And, it's like, so you look at these, there's no one way to do it, but it sure as heck takes a strong human to pull that off. And I think nobody else is pulling Bo. You know what I mean?
I'd like to think not, but you never know.
I
right?
mean, you don't get to say it as much as you probably should be able to, because it's going to sound less than humble, I guess. But no one's pulling off Bo. You know what I mean? Sorry. Like, the one thing this whole process from day one, becoming Mando is, like, I learned early on late in my life, but early on in this process, that nobody's going to speak for you. Like, how do you stay strong in these things? And for me, it was community, like you, like Em, Carl,
Yeah.
the crew, you know.
Yeah.
It was nice to always to know that while the business is up here working around you and maybe not for you all the time, the people here could look you in the eye and be like, "What's up? You good?
Yeah.
You smell.
Yeah.
Can you change your shirt? Thanks."
Yeah.
You know, like those simple things where you're like, "Oh yeah, I'm not okay. Yeah, I got it." You know?
Well, that's one of the things though that and I've learned this over my years in this industry, and I talk about this a lot in this podcast, is that number one on the call sheet sets the tone in the sense that the person who is there every single day, putting on the suit, whether it's the Mando suit or whether it's, Robert Taylor putting on his cowboy boots, whatever the suit is.
Yeah.
That person who is there every day, number one on the call sheet, sets the tone. And the crew and the rest of the cast usually follow suit. And you set that tone every day, though, Brendan. Every day you came to work, even if you weren't in a good mood, you didn't let anyone see it. Yeah. And you pulled yourself together because you knew that the crew needed you to. And you set that tone. And it was one of the funnest shows to be on because I knew every day I came to work, I was going to have a good time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's because of you.
Well, yes. And I know I'm trying to learn. Thank you for that. That is, thank you for that. I love being part of a team. There's nothing better. Whether it's me coaching or just being on a set, like, I carry a bag. I don't care. I know there's union rules, all those things, and they're right. But like for me, I never wanted anyone to think that I thought I was this, that, or the other thing. And I think part of it is, I would say 90% of it is my mother being from a family of 8. She had 8 kids. Absolute insanity.
Are you in the middle or the
last?
You're the youngest?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, and I was like like my fucking brothers, they're like, the smallest one's 6'2", 250. My sister's 5'11", 5'4". I can hang out with. But my brothers are like when people are like, was the Duke, like they'd look at me the size-wise. And they're like, was he, and thinking maybe he was smaller than he seemed. I was like, no, he was 6'5", 250 when he was playing. He was a lot bigger later.
Was he really?
Like, oh my God. I'm like, yeah, I was the last of whatever my parents had in them. I was like,
they squeezed out what they had left.
I was supposed to be Brenda. Then, it was before they checked. And so came out and they were like, okay, Brendan. Okay, yeah. You like that Irish saint? Let's go.
Did you always want to be an actor?
No.
Was that, because those are big shoes to fill. And I refuse to bring up your grandfather in this episode. Everyone's going to be really disappointed.
From a young age, I took cues clearly from my mother. And she wanted no part of the business for her kids. And she really steered them away from it. Like, she hated it. She hated the business. She thought it was mean. When I was younger, I thought it was just because, like her father, ran around a few times, things like that. Or that the business just, they were lean times, even for her dad. I didn't want to be in the business in the sense of like a professional actor guy. I didn't do theater. When I decided that was it, that's what I wanted to do, theater was not my thought process. But my mom was like, hey, Liz, you are following an icon. They're going to expect you to know everything. So get out there and do, you're going to go to American Academy of Dramatic Arts. You're going to go to SC after that. You need to know everything. And it was at the Academy where I found out why I loved theater. I was like, how do I love theater? Like, this is crazy. And that's where I met my wife. And I mean, we graduated, and from that point on, I knew how to dance. I knew how to sing. I knew how to stage fight on which was my, like, I was like, this is gonna be the best part of school. Um, like all those kind of things. And I was so intrigued by like, oh my God, like I did Private Lives, this play, and you're just like, this is crazy. And then you have to do it over and over again over a long period of time, and it has to live with you. The same scenes. And I was like, it got my competition in me. And I was like, I have to make it great let's go. And so I don't know, it struck. And then that was it. She was like, you're going to do that. Go to SC, learn about film school, all thing. And my wife and I met at that school. We put up a play every year, with the exception of the last 4 on our own because we loved it so much. Or last 5 years. Just because our youngers
You've been busy though.
Yeah, we're too busy.
You've been a little busy.
It's like, I don't even know. Like, it was crazy. I'm still busy. Like, I just don't know. But like, I feel like if I stop, I'm done. Like, kind of thing. But for me,
I'm like a shark.
Yes.
Like, I fully believe if I stop swimming, I'm going to die.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I think it's my ADHD though.
Me too.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Yeah. When we met, it was second episode of second season, and I meet you. In fact, I don't meet you. I meet Pedro.
Yes.
Pedro's there. So I don't know any better because I work with Pedro. And then I'm like, okay, cool. And then I come back 6 episodes later, and then you're there.
Yep.
And I was like, what the fuck is happening? And I was so scared to ask what was happening because I was like, not like, I'm just like, Katee, just like stay in the background. Don't piss anybody off. Don't fuck up this opportunity. Yeah. And so I like didn't ask what was going on. And everyone was like really cagey around it. So I was like, what is happening? Like, what is happening?
And the way you walked into, that was different.
Oh my God. So I quickly learned that you were the guy all the time, that you were the guy, except for when you were like going to die. Like, so basically, season 2, you are out of commission because of appendicitis.
Well, we thought
that went toxic, or you went septic?
Well, it was 2 things or like 3 things happened. It was crazy. First of all, like they didn't call me for second season. Like I was never called.
Well, so this is the thing. When I was doing research on you, I never knew this, that season 1, I had no idea that you were basically every day, they sort of like called you up and were like, so you're going to come back tomorrow?
Yeah.
I had no idea
a contract every day.
That you basically went in every day, signed an NDA and like signed a contract and like worked that day.
Every single day.
That's crazy. So, okay, so you're not supposed to come back for season 2. Little do they know you're in the hospital like dying.
Yeah. So, September 27th, I take my daughter to Disneyland all day. And for about a week before that, I thought I had like gas. I kid you not. And then I was like, it's kidney stone. I've had one of those before. I'm like, it's nothing. It's, whatever. Made it through the whole day. But I was like, The next day was the 28th. It was a Saturday. We had, I always managed somehow, thank God, to be able to coach my kids. And I had a game I had to coach at 11 o'clock. And I had gotten out of my bed at like 4 a.m. and went to the couch. And I was like, I can't. I was like, I'm going to drive myself to the urgent care and tell them to give me some, whatever they give you, morphine, so that I can get through this soccer game on my kidney stone while I pass the stone. There's not one symptom of a kidney stone, mind you. It's just painful.
Just pain.
Like that. Yeah. And so they're closed, thank God. Because everybody told me they would have said, oh yeah, here you go. And he drugged you up. And then you just died at home or on the sideline. I was
Yeah.
like, that's the worst thing I've ever heard. So they were closed. And I went to St. Joe's out in Burbank.
Yeah.
And I went in, and my doctor happened to be doing rounds that day. And she's the best there is. And I was in the waiting room, and I texted my family. I was like, hey, just so you know, if you wake up and I'm not there, I'm over at the emergency room. I'm good. I drove myself. Nobody said I was smart. So I get there, and I'm leaning. I kid you not, if you walked in there and you were like, I broke my hand, and you saw me, you'd have been like, I'm gonna go home and wait because that guy looks problematic. I mean, I'm laying over a chair, my hands on the ground, holding like myself, but just so I could be bent. And I'm going, oh, and then I would yell up to the lady at the counter. It was like 45 minutes in. And I go, if I tell you I'm having a heart attack, will you bring me in there right now? And she's like, no, we will not believe you. I was like, oh my God, okay. What can I do here? Well, my doctor happened to walk in. She goes, Brendan, what are you doing here? I'm like, I just need some drugs. I got a game at 11. It's 8:30 now. Can we hurry up? And she's like, for what? I go, I'm pretty sure it's just a kidney stone. She's, where does it hurt? And I point to the front of my body. She goes, that's not a kidney stone. Your kidneys are in the back, remember? And I was like, I wasn't good in school. That's why I became an actor. She's like, okay. So next thing, I kid you not, he goes, go in here, we'll shoot you up. So I get in there. They shoot me up. And apparently, I didn't know how long it was. 4.5 hours later, I wake up in my gown, and they've opened me up, and they're like, you had appendicitis. I was like, oh my God. They're like, you were super toxic. Like you had been leaking and the whole thing. I was like, God, that's terrible. Okay, we're good. They're like, yeah, you should be out by tonight. I was like, okay, great. And then like one day turned into 5 days with that same answer. And I kept saying to my docs, I was like, hey, I'm not like, I know my body. I'm a pretty fit guy. I know when I have problems, something's wrong with me. So they go in again. They're like, something's wrong. But they do it like, what is it called? Laparoscopic with like cameras or whatever. And they're like, oh, we got to clean them out again. Now, meanwhile, I walked in there about 175. 6 days later, I was 146. And then it just keeps going. And then they're like, we got to put them in an oxygen room, like where nothing can get in there. My kid came home from not from high school, from college to say goodbye to dad. They were like, he's going to die. And it turns out that all those, hernia mesh ads you see for lawsuits, the sticky patch that they put on, they're not supposed to peel, but nobody told them. So the doctors peeled it. Well, it caught my other part of my intestine and it ripped it apart. And so 42 days later, I come out of the hospital. And that was the deal. Like, I mean, I died three times, I think, while I was there. Just died.
Like literally died?
Yeah.
Like on the table, you fucking flatlined?
Yep. My red blood cell, white blood cell, something was terrible. They couldn't go in. And then we called, my family was mad that I didn't drive over to Santa Monica to the John Wayne Cancer Institute because we know all the guys there. And I ended up getting a great doctor to call from the institute and talk to the doctors at Burbank and say, hey, look, this is our guy. You need to go in and check him out. No more laparoscopic. So I had like I had 4 total surgeries. And it was just like, I got a blood transfusion a few times.
Yeah.
Like, it was crazy. Like, I know what I was thinking in my head. Like, I had a colostomy bag. I didn't want, like, I was like, I'm not living with a colostomy bag. Sorry, guys. All those kind of things. It was crazy. It was one of the most, like, take stock moments you could ever have and survive it. Like, and then you go, what's the most important thing?
Yeah.
And meanwhile, that the reason I brought up the dates was that was September 28th. I didn't get out till November 5th. Yeah. 5th or 6th or something like that. Principal photography, I knew when it began, which was October 12th. They were doing pre-production stuff. I hadn't been called. I hadn't gotten a script. Nothing. The year before, I did rehearsals before the season started, like everything, like nothing. And I was like, okay, this is why I signed a contract every day, just was what it was. And then October 6th, they called my wife, funny enough, because I wasn't answering my phone.
Yeah.
Because it was taken away from me. You want to know why?
She were dying?
So when I went to the ICU, I had all these things, and I'm like, they're going to make me the drugs were unreal. Like, I was out of my mind. But I was like, I need to get out of here. And so I told my wife, don't tell anybody anything. Friends, anybody. You can tell my brothers and sisters, that's it. And she's so good. She didn't. And then I'm in the ICU, and I text my buddy. I'm like, hey, listen, I need you to bring me some pizza and some Gatorade. And I need you to meet me at the ER at St. Joe's. And so he's like, all right, gets in his car. And then he's like, wait, we're in our late 40s here, bro. I'm not doing this is high school stuff. So he calls my wife and goes, hey, where is Brendan? Is he? She's I wasn't supposed to tell you, but blah blah. She's okay, you gotta get his phone back and text everybody and tell him not to come, because I guarantee you I'm not the only one.
You
Apparently,
text everyone for pizza?
I literally text messaged 13 people for pizza and Gatorade. And 5 of them were on their way. So God bless them.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was nuts. But so, yeah, it was just a crazy thing. And then I was like, don't tell anybody anything. So she's like, yeah, he had appendicitis, blah, blah, blah. And it's just take him a couple days. Then it was like, he's not done yet. And then they're like, we really want him. Well, what do we have to do? And they think it's a negotiating ploy.
Oh my God, I love that you were negotiating for a better deal. Little did you know, this is the best negotiating tactic ever.
Yeah, right. And so, anyway, it ended up still. When I came back, I was 2 weeks out of the hospital, and it was funny because the week before I visited set on the back lot because I wanted to meet Timothy Oliphant so bad, and I walked out there, and I was like. I was like fangirl. Like, I was like, all right, bro.
I went for Timothy Oliphant too.
Yeah. I mean, I was like, I'm not on that team, but bro, I could probably you're good. Yeah. You're good. You're really good.
Yeah.
And he was so nice. I don't think he had a clue why this guy, I mean, he probably thought I was like Make-A-Wish. Like, I was 146 pounds. I know that's really probably insensitive, but like, I couldn't walk straight.
Yeah.
So like I had it.
You were strapped in though.
Oh yeah.
You were literally strapped in every single day, holding your insides in with like a brace.
I still like, funny enough, who came and visited me? Mike Manziel, Tam, and Misty came and visited me. And Mike's excitement to see my wound while I was in bed was the funniest thing. He's like, no.
Did you take pictures?
See. And then he's like, can I take a picture? Because I could make this. And I was like, whatever you need.
I love when makeup artists or special effects people see you really injured because all they're thinking is, can I take pictures of you? My friend Fran, it was a bruise. I think it was like on my leg or on my arm. It was a really bad bruise while we were filming this movie. And she wanted to take pictures of it every single day to watch the progression and the color changes of it. And I was like, this is crazy. Like, it was, a huge bruise. So funny. I want to go back to when you were in the hospital.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously that changed you. Like, what surprised you the most during that time for 45 days, when, I mean, you've got 3 kids, you've got a wife, you've got a family that loves you and that you love. Like what surprised you the most during that time?
I mean, a few things. I'll say, first of all, I had the job of my life, even though I signed every day, even though I wasn't going to get the notoriety, the I don't know, the confidence of knowing I could get another job from this job because I did something so good or did it well. I'm coming in 22 years of bartending, no matter what. No matter what show I was a regular on or anything, and at the same place, because I had my family I had to take care of, number one. And so my ego of probably being like a working actor who doesn't have to do another job was gone pretty quick because I had a kid, and it was like, so like I didn't have that, but I did have, it was Star Wars, it was Mando, it was a character nobody's ever seen, and I was integral in creating them. And I thought, looking back, like when I write about it, I thought that would weigh a lot more into this whole being sick thing changed me. And maybe it was the circumstances of, going into season 2 and not getting the courtesy of a phone call kind of thing, even, I don't know, but I will tell you this, the things that mattered are my kids okay? Who's coaching them on Saturdays? I know it's crazy, but like who's filling in for me? How are they doing with it? Are the kids at school being okay? How's my wife doing? Like, it's like, that was a thing for me, because I, I don't know if it's a male thing or if it's just a human thing, but like to be capable and have it stripped from you. Couldn't protect my family. I couldn't protect my wife. I couldn't provide. And I couldn't be a partner. I wasn't a partner at that moment. I was a bad person. I don't feel guilty. I wasn't. I was incapable of partnering. And I had to rely on them. My kids would come and, sit with dad. My wife would organize people to sleep over because during the night, like, she didn't trust the hospital. We had some issues. And you should always have an advocate. But like, there were these things that and she had to get the kids to school and they had to live a life. You can't, even if I'm going to die, and I know it's a terrible thing, but they have to go.
Life goes on.
It goes on. And that's it. They were in a very, like, she's 17 now. She was 10. She was in a big change for her. She was developing. She was hormonally changing. Like, all these things were happening. And then the guy who was there, take them to school, make their lunches, all this thing, isn't there. And he's not there at all. Like, he's not.
Was that really 7 years ago?
Yeah. Well, it's 6. It was 6. I can't. Yeah.
Yeah. Cause I had just I was just dating my husband. Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
That's right. So the things for me that it crystallized was my ego was gone when it got better. Like, when I got better, I needed to work. And Mando said, "Hey, we won't guarantee you anything, but if you want to come work again, you can sign the contract and we'll see what we can do."
So season 2, you still came back every day and signed?
Yeah. It was because I was sick. So they couldn't guarantee, because what if you can't? I said, "Look, I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm a stand-up guy.
Yeah.
I'll throw away the contract." Didn't matter. It worked out in that way. But I needed to work to feel capable, not to feel value. Like, I'm an actor and everyone's going to know me. But like, I needed to feel like I could do it again because I'd never been in a position. I've broken an ankle or here, whatever, but you know it's going to heal. This is different. Like, I didn't know if I was ever walking out of that hospital, and I didn't know if I was ever walking out without a bag on. Like, I didn't know any of that. And then I'm a very come what may kind of guy. Like, hey, whatever, we'll make it work. And this tested that at another level. And now I 100% believe in it, in the sense that there is nothing that I will not overcome or work through.
Did you, and this might be a weird question.
I'm a weird guy.
I know you are, that's why. But like, when your body, you said you like died 3 times. What did it feel like?
The only thing I can remember from any of them, mostly because I was so drugged up, like,
yeah,
my wife had to literally tell them, cut him off right now. And they were like, it might not be humane. She goes, cut him off. It's a family of addiction, first of all. Second of all, like, he needs to get healthy, and he's never going to get healthy on drugs. So the only thing I do remember floating in not space, but in a space, and fully functioning. And all I know is that the nurse's voice, at the time I didn't know it was, but it was, I figured it out, kept saying, it's okay. You can let it go. You can let it go. And I thought she was telling me I could go. And I was like, in that moment, I was like, no, my family needs me. And that was when I actually asked myself in that space, do they need me? I don't think you need that phrase there. And these are the thoughts that are going in my head.
Yeah.
They were like, you were out during that time. And my thoughts were, no. I mean, they love me. And what I came to was, I need them. And I need their love. I need them. And it was enough for me to come back to that, because I wanted to be a part of that. And that's, it was funny because you think, oh, am I going to be super egotistical? Like, they need me. I'm coming back. But my mind took me
very John Wayne. I'm coming back.
Exactly. And then it was really, no, I need them, and I needed it. And then when I got to set and I got to meet the Katee, and, like, that was exceptional. Like, to have this, I got family. I got, my kids are home. I got family here. I have Mandalorians. That was something I thought about to myself. It's like, oh, I got Mandalorians. And then it was, basic, like, I got to just get through the day without keeling over. And the first day, one of the first 2 or 3 days, I had to do the scene in the control room, and my youngest daughter was there. And I didn't know then, but they were sending, the family was sending somebody with me initially because they knew I would do whatever without thinking about it. So she was there to have to watch at me. And she knew I had a big, open wound. And it was Bryce's episode, and I had to dive across the floor to get in front of Moff shooting. And I have a picture someone else took of me doing it. Oh, no, I got this. It's fine. Diving across the floor. And there's a picture of me laying on the floor, and my daughter's in the background, and she's looking at me like this. And when I got up, she goes, I texted Mom.
I'm telling Mom.
I was like, I'm in trouble. But, I was very fortunate in that sense, because I came back to a crew that I love.
Yeah.
I met some people who literally changed my life. Like, we talk about having good days. Hey, I was a good day. I was having a day, and I've told you this before, but I'm just going to say it again. And you and Emily were there. And I was so frustrated with the business of work that day. And I mean, normally I'd never let it get to me, but that day it did. And I wanted to walk off set. I was done. None of it mattered. The only thing that was keeping me there was like crew, like anyone screw their week or their day or whatever. And there was something about you guys read me, and I was just, I think it was, no, it was Terry Strucker. It was Wagon Wheel. And you two just started singing it. And you guys lifted me so much higher than I was going to be capable of personally in that moment. I was going to do something that I would have regretted. And without even knowing it, you guys saved me from making a bad choice. And it was just so cool to, like, I wanted everyone to have a good time when they were on set, and to see it come back and paid it the way you guys paid it to me was incredible. And I thought, if I learned one thing from my mom, it was that wherever you are, it's your job beyond what you have to do to make sure that everyone comes with you. You can't do it alone. There's nothing to be done. And I saw two incredible professional actors, not thinking calculated, like, oh, let's make him happy. Just being who you were genuinely. And it changed my outcomes in that moment. And I thought, this is why we do it. Like, I love seeing if Katee can slide across and stop Moff, and then I love knowing that there is zero chance I'm going to slide across because I got this guy Lateef who's going to do it really well.
Do it for you.
Like I love those moments, and I love watching you. I mean, you probably hated, but I loved watching you fight to find out who Bo was at any moment.
I think the moment that I realized that you were there every day and you were the guy that had figured it out. You had figured out how to move in that suit. You'd figured out how to make him without speaking, like the unspoken, because you don't have a face. You have figured out how to make this person, the body language, speak for him. And that is something that actors completely take for granted.
Yeah.
Because we have use of our entire faculties when we're playing characters, which is such a gift. But if you take one away, what do you do? And it's the biggest one. It's the visual. You just took everything away. But you can feel what the character is feeling based on the movements that you established.
Yeah.
And so I knew I had a ton to learn from you because I was just figuring it out. And that was really important for me to sort of watch the way that you moved. And I love telling people, I'm like, yeah, that that swagger, that Mando swagger, that's fucking Brendan Wayne. All the time, I'm like, fucking Brendan Wayne. Because it is like you figured that stuff out, and so we can all help each other on a film set. That's one of the things that I love about the business is that everybody's helping everybody, and you can't do it alone. You can't do it without the grip. You can't do it without the makeup. You can't do it without the PA.
Yeah.
You can't do it without scripty. Every single person plays a role, and they have to play it perfectly.
Yeah.
To make magic. That's just the way it works.
Yeah, and Star Wars is pretty lucky because they have a fan base that works, and in some ways, you go, oh, they take advantage of it. They do, 100%. In a good and bad of it, but like these guys come in, like you think about like Diego, like he'll come in and he'll throw down canon to me, and I'll be looking at him like, what?
I know.
How do you know this? Just like
Maria Sandoval.
Yeah. Oh my
Our
God.
beautiful hair department. She knows more about Star Wars. And if she doesn't, she won't admit it.
But I mean,
she knows everything.
I would be shocked. I mean, there's moments where she would say it when they were asking it on set and Dave wasn't there. She would say it to me and then they'd call Dave or whatever. And then Dave'd be like, well, yeah, the canon is this. And then Maria'd look, I'd be like, Maria, you're unreal. Like, how is this possible?
Yeah, she knows everything. She knows absolutely everything. It was one of my favorite things in the morning to sit in that makeup chair or the hair chair because it took so long to get in my wig. And we would talk about the scene that day and what it was going to be like. And she helped me get into character. And it was so much more than just the hair.
Yeah.
It was the thought process, where Bo's coming from, what she wants. Maria knows all that shit.
Oh, yeah. That was the challenge you had of taking your voice into your body acting because you'd done the voice.
Yeah.
And then now I got to live it. Do I have to do it like that? Like, I thought to me, oh, what an incredible challenge of like, because if I'm on a mic and I'm just looking, I don't have to worry about anything. I can move my hands as much as I want to get that voice. Whereas, with Bo in real, like, sorry, you can't get excited like this and wear the helmet.
No, you can't. I mean, and how did you learn to move so convincingly in the helmet? There were times where I knew full well that you couldn't see shit. And I was always like, how did he not just fall on his face? Because I have more vision than you do. And I was like,
oh, yeah.
You're like, I mean, and not only that, you're pulling guns, you're like doing all this crazy stuff at the same time. And I'm like, and every once in a while you would fall over and I'd be like, there he is.
There's his human. Yeah. I would try the night before if the set was already, or because I'd get there. Usually I get to work 3 hours early so that I could work out and stuff. But I also would walk the set, put the helmet on. And now, like for me, it was this and this. So I didn't have a wide vision. So I had to be able to figure out how I could use both my eyes at the same time. So I could look down out of the thing at the same time and do these things. I mean, I would just practice. I would practice. And then I would walk as confidently as I could into disasters. And that was it. Like I think Emily's was the worst because at least with mine, they made it to my size initially. I feel like she's got this, this, and their helmet is like this big. So like, even if she could see, she couldn't see because the thing was like, I don't know. That was crazy to me.
I know. I always say that the people that came in season 2 we have such better suits than you guys.
Oh, it's not even close. It wasn't even close. Bo, I mean, the fact that you guys had air conditioners in there, I was like, and I wouldn't let them give it to me. Not even for the movie would it. Lateef had it. I wouldn't let him give it to me.
Really? You know that they would not let us turn them on if we had dialogue, though? Because they couldn't, you can't hear the dialogue because you just hear the fan. So we ended up not using them that much, actually, because then I also couldn't hear if it was too high. I also couldn't hear what was going on around me. So if it was a scene like where we were on the back lot and I didn't have to do much, I would turn it on.
Yeah.
But I didn't use it a ton. I used it a lot season 2 because I was like, ooh, it has a fan. This is fancy. Yeah. And then I realized that I didn't need it as much unless they like locked me in. And then I was like, it's so hot in here.
Okay, so I don't know how you did that one. That's because mine wasn't locked.
No.
Ever.
And Emily's doesn't lock.
Yeah, no, like, I'm sorry that like they made Lateef do it. And I think initially for the movie, they had come in with this thing. And I was like, you can't, like, he goes, I can't. I'm like, dude, I'm claustrophobic.
Yeah.
I'd lose my mind.
Yeah. No. Does it,
That's right. You had that thing.
yeah, it locks you in. I mean, you could take it off. It doesn't lock. Did you, does it ever upset you that like, because I have literally gotten, not in arguments, I've learned you don't argue with people online.
No, you don't.
No, you don't. But there are people that get in arguments with each other.
Oh, yeah.
About that you're not really in the suit that much.
Yeah.
Is that frustrating for you at all?
So I think initially it probably was a little bit more. I know for my family, it pissed them off. Like their thing was, how do you do that to another artist? Like, how do you allow that to happen to another artist? Like David Prowse, James Earl Jones, those kind of things. Like, I think I needed, I don't know if that's true. Maybe that's the excuse I made, but I just needed to not to be important to me. When it bothers me is when I'm trying to get a job and they're like, you're a stud guy. And I'm like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Okay. Like those are the things. But like, then there's moments like you meet, I don't know, like Sigourney Weaver, and she walks up to you and she goes, your work is seamless. It's absolutely beautiful. And I'm like, hi, I'm Brendan. What are you looking for? And she's like, no, James Cameron and I were talking about it. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like, those moments, I'll allow my pride to be there. And when you guys saw it, honestly, like, because to me, you're my teammates. So it's like, oh, they see it.
Yeah.
And then you had a conversation with me just about your character. Like, what am I working on? And these things. And I went, oh, okay, I get the respect from my colleagues that are here right now. That's what makes it all okay. Would I like the business aspect of it to benefit me more? 100%. Beyond that, I get to coach my kids. I coach a local high school and nobody has a clue. I mean, so the kids at school, some of the boys will run up. I've had to sign a lot of things. I've gone to other schools to coach, like go to North Hollywood High, and the other coach knew and was like, hey, my son would really like you to sign. I'm like, can I not like you for the next hour and a half?
And then I'll sign some stuff in the parking lot.
Like, so in that way, I look for the things, and I do think this is because of surviving the hospital the way I did. Because I don't think I would have been as nice. I don't think I would have taken this the way I have. Because it would have got me. It would have meant more to me that I get that credit. But now I don't feel it that way.
Was it a conversation that you were a part of when it was announced in season 3 that you and Lateef were acknowledged?
Before celebration, that was they were gonna, like, we're gonna walk you out there, and that was a big deal.
That was a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know it really, honestly, but it was a big deal. That was cool, and issues like people are like always trying to like do well, if that's the case, then you must be. I have no issues with him. I don't.
Yeah.
He does what he does. I do what I do. I mean.
And Pedro has always been very, he has always been very honest about what he does. Yeah. I mean, like it's he and I have spoken about it. Like it's when we were doing press, there were some questions. And at one point he leaned over and he's like, some of these questions Brendan should be answering. Like,
yeah. And then there's like, I forget. I think Carl came up and said it to me. It's a travesty, man. What is? My work? Is my work bad? He goes, no, man. They're taking this from you, man. And I was like, nah, don't be mad for me. It's okay. And I love you for that. Cause he was like my big
Yeah.
brother. Like he was so protective of me. And he's like, you worked, didn't you? And I was like, and I did. And I can see it up there. And if I need the accolades, I can read the articles about it. I don't care if my name's attached to it.
Mm.
I get to spend my time the way I want to spend my time.
Yeah.
And there's something to be said for it. When it, honestly, when it does, this is when it bothers me. Now that we're working through this, glad I could be on your couch, Doc. It's trying to get into cons when I'm trying to
Oh.
go do Comic Cons, and they're like, is he
Who?
in it? I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to kill these people.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you remember that day on set when Carl told me that I was boring?
Oh God, no.
Were you there that
Now
day?
yes.
It was you.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of like moving in the suit, when Carl was like, so I would like to know what, she feels in this scene. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, more. And I was like, yeah. And he goes, what you're doing is boring. I was like, oh my God, Carl. Let me get right on that.
Let me see how to find
And
it.
then, so of course, I do what I'm supposed to do in the day, like in that moment. And then I remember like panicking and like going to John after that and being like, am I boring? Like, he was like, you're fine. But it was about movement. It's about movement and the way that your voice moves. And in my mind, I'm thinking, well, we can just get this, we can voice over it. I can change it in the booth if it's not enough. And no, Carl demanded on the day, no, you show up. Give me what I'm going to see in the booth because I need to know what the performance is. And I was like, oh, shit. All right.
It's funny you say. So he told me it's not enough anymore. And I was like, I'm sorry. He's like, it's not enough. You have to evolve. All of you have to evolve. You can't be sitting there being these stick figures for these men. And I was like, what are we talking about, Carl?
Yeah.
And then he was the one, he goes, I want to see you turn your head and do this. I'll make it look good. That's when I realized, oh, he's not being mean. He wants to see this character's physical evolution as well as, they told, the story was told this way. That was when I went, oh, I get it. What did he say to you?
Yeah.
And there were some, that's interesting. There were some moments that some fires that had to be put out on someone because he was just honest. Like
he's honest,
he said it, but he didn't mean it like you're a boring actor, get up actor. But
no,
I took it that way. I was like, I thought I need something here.
No. He was, he and I learned to communicate better after that moment. I was like, so what are you really saying to me? Like, let's break it down. And he and I learned to communicate better after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
God, what a just behemoth of a man.
Right? Like, they're like, oh, there'll never be another, let's say a famous guy like John Wayne. And then you meet somebody like Carl Weathers and you go, oh yeah, there is. They're, the greatest thing about the character, and you actually described it when you were talking about these writers who write these complex characters who are flawed, but the characters that we all, I don't know, grew up loving and like really have something that we connect with are the flawed ones who do the right thing in the toughest moments, not the perfect ones who are constantly perfect. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
the anti-heroes, I guess, or whatever, the Bruce Willis types, the Tom Donovans, those things like
The Mandos.
Because they're human
Yeah.
at the end of the day. And that's the other thing I love about Mando. What I loved about Bo and her story wasn't that she was a princess who had to learn how to be tough.
Mm.
It was a tough leader who had to learn how to lead again and to have the confidence in themselves, because we always get checked. No matter what in life, we always get checked. I don't care how successful you are, you're always going to get checked if you're always evolving. Because that's when you'll notice it. And so you want those, or I do. I love those stories about redemption, about uh, uh, overcoming yourself, because that's usually what stops you. It's not the world. There's always a path, in my opinion. And I watch Bo go from, somebody who feels broken. Like, I couldn't save them. I tried. I saved them by not giving this, but I gave this, and then that got taken from me. How do I fight for this? And it was you brought your community back together. And those are the stories I love. Like, I love them. There's more important.
I think it really frustrates me when people don't see her pain, or they don't see the redemption, that they still hold her to the terrible, terrible mistakes she made, but they don't allow the growth of her, 15 years later, 20 years later.
Even if it's the next day, you have to allow it, because if not, then you'll never forgive. Like, to me, that's the standard you're holding. You're not going to allow the redemption of a moment.
Yeah.
How do you live your life? I know that's like, if that's the way, I don't know, like, that's a beautiful story. That's the beautiful thing. We may giggle because we were inside the moment, but for Mandalore, is for Mandalore. It's not for Bo. It's not for Chris. It's not for my kingdom. Not my kingdom. It is for Mandalore. And those are the things, like, that's why Mando, he's willing to be Sir Lancelot.
Yeah.
Something like that. But he's not willing to lead because he doesn't have the capacity to be able to hold all of them together, because he can't hold himself together. And there's nothing wrong with it. Yeah, I don't mean he's less than. I just mean that Mando's journey is through his same thing with my 25-year-old in my life, which was I had to mature through her growth, because I was not mature until I had my kid. And then I started to mature. I started to be able to see the forest for the trees, and then this bigger thing. And that's what Mando, when he had Grogu, he didn't have Grogu. That sounds disgusting. When he became
the kids guide.
Yes, there. Yes, when he was his baby Bjorn. But that was a cool thing. And then I at that point my daughter was 18, 19, going to college. But I remember thinking, oh, this is so. I relate to this part of it for sure. Because there is that cool thing. And then you watch Bo, and then the good thing I thought was great was, Axe was such a dick,
Yeah.
and he didn't change in essence. He just understood eventually that his calling wasn't the same, and that he didn't have the capacity to do it, and Bo did. And it's clear the armor knew it, but nobody else pulls that. Whatever. That's a debatable thing, I guess, for people. But for me, nobody else pulls that off. Nobody else pulls Bo up by the bootstraps like that and carries that uh, that battle you had so with such dignity through the end. And that's what you did. Like, you might have been able to get somebody who was a little rough on the edges, who cleans up okay, but nobody like you. Like, that wasn't going to happen.
Well, I hope it's not the last that we see her.
Hope it's not the last we see of Mando.
I know. What was it like working with Sigourney, though?
Oh my God.
Was it just crazy? It's like the thing that I'm most upset about is that not being able to work with her.
The like, I know, I'm just so obvious, but like for me, like the Ripley was my mom to me. I know that everybody is like, I was in love with Ripley. Like,
Ripley shaped who I wanted to be as an actor.
Yeah, and me too. And she just happened to be a woman, but like, that strength, like, and then to see her in Galaxy Quest,
I know,
and how great she was, and then
the humor.
Yeah, I mean, so incredible.
Yeah,
and they, you go, okay, what am I going to see here? This woman's going to come in, and she's for me one of my Mount Rushmores.
Yeah,
and the first thing out of her mouth is so disarming, and she's like, "Oh, God, I've been dying to meet you," and it's like, "What?"
I know.
Is John in here?
When I met Linda Hamilton and she kissed me on the mouth, I literally was like, what sweet baby Jesus of a heaven did I just fall into?
Yes, right?
So like if Sigourney is any less than that, my childhood is going to be destroyed. I'm going to need her to grab me by the face and just kiss me like Linda did.
Yeah, she is, that like, I mean, now I'm like, if she'd done that, I'd have been done. I'd be like, guys, I'm done.
She's also like supremely intelligent.
Oh, no. And okay, this is what I loved. She's writing notes on her script as we're doing stuff, whether we're setting up cameras, whatever, and she's talking it out. Well, what about this? And like I do, like I did when I started acting. Like I've seen people come on and, they just go in and they do their thing and that's it. She didn't just do her thing. And it was one of the most heartening things I've ever seen, because I was like, oh my God, you still do this. And then she's like, yeah, I'm going to London. I'm going to go do The Tempest. I'm going to go do, on stage. And I was like, what? I read that book to my first daughter while she was in the womb. And I read the play, and she was like, wait, why would you read The Tempest? I was like, it was in the book ahead, and that was the one. So we went with The Tempest. And she was like, yeah, I'm playing it. And I was like, oh my God. And this whole thing, and to reinforce the idea that she is as great as you would hope. And she's so stunning. Like, she's no less beautiful. I mean,
yeah,
she could,
I know.
I'd have done it, whatever she asked. And oh, what do you think if I came around this? Would that be okay for you? And I'm like, you're still talking. Yes. To me?
Yeah.
Yes. Uh-huh.
God,
what do you want?
I'm so jealous. And not even just envious. I'm just jealous, Brendan.
Yeah,
I wish I
she didn't want it. She was like, I'm not leaving till you do your coverage. I was like, get out of here.
Oh my God.
Like, she's like, no.
That is so rare for people listening. I have worked with so many actors that don't show up until their coverage. I have worked with an actor who I did the entire scene, and then they showed up hours later and did their side, and they changed and rewrote it so much that my side no longer made sense.
Yeah. It's right. Again, there we are. can we get a whole script? Can we all understand that we need to work together? Because your performance will change with this,
Yes. Had you shown up and like not known your lines, known the story, had you just shown up and stood there and walked around, and I like if there was like somebody in a walkie like doing Mando's lines or something, I would have been like, what?
Like the AD?
Yeah. The fact that you are an actor, the fact that you are in that suit, the fact that you show up every single day and you give it everything you have is a reason why the show is so loved.
Well, those moments are the funny ones for me when people are like, so do you memorize the lines? Do you even have to say the lines? And I'm looking at them like, oh, you haven't, like, I get Hollywood's different, but like, I didn't think it was that different that you had to be like, yeah, no, I say the whole lines. I've got to act in the scene. Otherwise, what do they have? Like, even if I do it poorly, at least I'm, there.
Yeah.
It's funny.
I could talk to you forever, but I probably shouldn't. It's already been like an hour and a half. So thank you for showing up.
Late.
Late. It's fine. It happens. I'm going to let you go because I want to ask you something off the record. So I'm going to say, bye, Brendan. Thanks for coming.
Hey, Katee.
End of interview.
There's no one better than the Katee Sackhoff.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Hindsight. Thank you for sticking around. I'm still Katee Sackhoff, and I am joined by my co-hostess with the mostest, Jeph Porter.
Mostest. I have some of it.
Hi, Jeph.
Hi, Katee. I think we should get into this because I have a lot of questions and things from this episode because I found this Brendan and this stuff very fascinating.
Isn't it fascinating?
Yeah, it's a unique position to be in. And I always am very surprised when you find people, not in this particular situation, but sometimes there are a lot of unsung heroes in the business. And I've never met a single one of them that is bitter or mad about it. They're all very pleasant people.
Brendan legitimately feels ownership over that character because he plays him every day. You know what I mean? Like he's been there from the beginning. And he is very aware that it is a group effort. Every single one of them are. Lateef is, Brendan is, Pedro most certainly is, I mean, and they all have a tremendous amount of respect for each other. Yeah. And that's what's super cool as well is that, the moment that publicly, like Disney and Lucas, like celebrated Lateef and Brendan and brought them out on stage. It was a really, really big moment. Like I think everyone involved was really legitimately excited for those guys because they deserved, accolades. They deserved respect. They deserved credit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and also how cool is it that John Wayne's grandson is the Mandalorian?
Oh, 100%, right? I mean, that's literally why he walks like that, you know? Is that like, because he's walking like a cowboy. He's walking like a gunslinger, and that's who Brendan is.
He's got it figured out. It raised a couple of just weird, interesting technical questions for me, because you mentioned a little bit in this about how Carl Weathers gave you some shit because you of your acting on set, and you said sometimes I think, I'll just redo it in the booth. So my question is, how much of the actual lines are in the booth, and how much of it, when you're wearing the helmet at least, how much of it is any of it on set when you're wearing the helmet?
All of it's on set.
Really?
All of it. 100% of it. I don't think that I did ADR much at all.
Oh, really?
The sound department they're phenomenal. The sound mixers are phenomenal. Everything's recorded inside my helmet. So I'm slightly joking that I would redo it all in post.
Right.
Because it's very serious. Like you're 100% memorized. You do the whole thing. Brendan is 100% memorized. He does all the dialogue because he's your scene partner.
Right. But when he's on set, and you're doing those scenes, they're replacing his with Pedro.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
And he brought up David Prowse, and it kind of reminded me of that. Have you ever seen any of the footage from the original Star Wars where David Prowse is doing that? I'll have to find some and I'll show you it. But it's like, it's very interesting to see, because the whole story with David Prowse is a little more sad than not that Brendan is sad at all, because Brendan didn't go into this ever expecting that he was going to be like the voice of it. But that was sort of the understanding for David Prowse, and at least with the first Star Wars, was that he was going to be the voice of Darth Vader. And George Lucas did tell him, we're going to replace it with voiceover, so don't worry if it sounds muffled because of the helmet. And I think David Prowse took that to mean, I'm going to go into a booth and do it all. And then he didn't find out that they had replaced him until he saw the movie at the premiere.
Oh, no, poor man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's hard. That's really hard. Like, that's like, nobody likes that, Like, I remember I was completely cut out of a movie and nobody told me.
Did you find out at the premiere?
No, I found out because I wasn't invited to the premiere.
That would be a good indicator,
right? And and the way they explained it to me was that they needed to shorten the movie, and my character was the only character not integral to the plot of the movie, and I was the only piece that they could remove fully, and it wouldn't change the story. Because I was just the best friend. I was just
that doesn't
around.
Make it better.
No, it doesn't make it better. It's not like we cut you out because you suck.
Yeah.
We cut you out because we were too long. But, it
turns out you were pointless to the movie.
Yeah, I was pointless to the movie. But that breaks my heart. Nobody wants to feel like, they were going to have something come to fruition. And I don't even know how to explain that. Like, it feels really heartbreaking. That sucks if that's the way that it happened.
The silver lining of the story is that when James Earl Jones came and did the voice, he refused to take credit for the character in at least the first two movies. So Darth Vader is still credited as David Prowse. And James Earl Jones is not in it because James Earl Jones was like, I recorded, for the first movie, he recorded everything in 2 hours. Yeah. David Prowse worked on the movie for 3-4 months, So he was like, he's Darth Vader. I just did the voice. Yeah,
well, that's, Pedro has been very honest about the involvement of Brendan and Lateef. As have I. I've tried to that's why we had Joanna on the show, I've talked about Caitlin as well from season 2, and how we've had so many women made sure that bo-katan came to life. Now, does that potentially tarnish it a little bit for some people because they want to believe that I did everything for Bo, and they want to believe that Pedro did everything for Mandalorian? Possibly.
I feel like that's a silly thing to expect.
I think so
because,
too. There are very few actors that do their own stunts. Like, at the very least, someone else would be doing it for that. But these are such big shows. There's so much expectation. There's so much pressure, and the way I've always explained it is that you want the best person in the suit for every scene. Yeah. Now, if that's a stunt double, if that's me, if that's a stand-in, if that's, whatever it is, that's who needs to be there. And there needs to be no ego involved. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And I mean, it's an interesting scenario, and he seems very happy to have done it and still doing it. Well, he might be done now, but there's still more for us to see of him as the character.
I don't know. We'll see, right?
We'll see. Couple of other things I loved from this interview. You said, I refuse to bring up your grandfather, and then you brought him up and kept talking.
Did I?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard to not talk about John Wayne.
I thought it was interesting too, because the very first thing you guys talked about is how he's in a house full of women and how much respect he has for women and everything like that, which in and of itself is not like something that is that rare or that, odd, but being the grandson of this guy who is sort of this like icon of masculinity that is sort of been tarnished over the years. He's kind of a cautionary tale in some circles of like, you don't want to be that type of man necessarily.
I don't know anything about John Wayne.
Well, he was an actor back in
I
like
know that.
Well, he's like the archetypal like male like figure for a lot of generations. I think our generation less so, but like generations before us, he's the man's man,
Well, look, we can acknowledge that masculinity has shifted over the years, and women are treated very, very differently than they were 70 years ago.
Yeah.
100 years ago, which I know that sounds like a long fucking time. It's
even
not that
20
long ago.
Even 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I was keeping track of, because I thought it was funny, because he is such a funny guy, but in as much as he is like sweet and everything, there were a handful of things that he just casually said that I was calling casual badass.
Oh yeah, like what? He is a badass.
Here's what he said. Because he talked a lot in depth about his health struggle and that whole thing, which is
injury?
a story. Yeah,
it's not an injury.
The gallbladder
the fact that he almost
thing.
died. He did
it's
die?
a crazy story. So a couple of things around that, actually. Most of these are all around that. He said, it's a kidney stone. It's nothing. Like when he was talking about how he thought when he was feeling sick, he was like, I just thought it was a kidney stone. It's nothing. And I'm like, a kidney stone is not nothing.
I've passed kidney stones.
My mom almost died from a kidney stone that infected her. Yeah, she almost went. It was a very similar situation to this. Like she had kidney stones and they got infected, and one of them went septic, and she went into the hospital. And the same situation, it reminded me of that when he said family was coming by to like say goodbye to him. Like I was in the middle of a film that I was like producing, and I left the film and went down and like stayed with my mom for a week, and we were like, this might be it. But she recovered and she's good. She's fine now. But the way when he just said it's a kidney stone, it's nothing, I was like, okay.
Yeah. Kidney stones are freaky. I've passed a few of them. Did you ever hear the story about how you're supposed to chug? And I don't even know if this is fucking true, you guys, but when you have a kidney stone and they're like, well, just wait and see what happens. You'll like do anything to pass this motherfucker faster. I drank a cup of olive oil.
Ooh.
With squeezes of lemon and like maybe some apple cider vinegar or some shit like that. I don't even remember, but you chug it. Like a cup of olive oil. It literally feels like you are drinking salad dressing out of the bottle. And the idea being that like it's meant to coat your urethra.
And
I'm sure it's complete bullshit. But I've passed a kidney stone like, kind of right after once.
Did it help with the pain?
No, nothing helps with the pain.
You're passing a stone through a tiny hole. It's gonna hurt.
Yeah, exactly.
Another thing he said was he was talking about more of his treatment. And he said, over at the John Wayne Cancer Institute, we know all the guys there. Yeah. It's like, who else can casually throw out that their grandfather has a cancer institute named after them?
I know, it's pretty crazy. When Ginny was going through all of her stuff, he literally called me and he was like, whatever you need. And I was like, yeah. And he goes, no, I'm serious. Yeah. Whatever you need.
There's a cancer institute named after my grandfather.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other thing wasn't something he said, but he did. You guys were talking about he was negotiating his Mando deal from the hospital bed, which is incredible.
Yeah, he's badass. People respect Brendan a lot at work.
Yeah, I can see it.
He is, for the most part, always happy.
Yeah.
Always uplifting. Always, like B. Wayne. He's always awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Last thing was when he was talking about, I can't remember what this is in context to or at this moment, but he said, I've broken an ankle here or there. And you're just like, Like, I feel like if I broke my ankle, it would be like a defining story of my life.
It's funny too, right? When he tells like stories about his brothers and like getting in fights and stuff,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
you know, like he's a hoodlum or was,
Seems like a fun guy.
I joke about my kids being feral. Like, you know,
Well,
Brendan, I feel like there's pieces of Brendan that was like a hoodlum.
He was what? One of 8 kids, you said?
Yeah.
I looked it up too, and his grandfather, who his mother is the daughter of, she was one of 7.
Yeah.
So big families.
Big families, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. You know, he's great. I'm glad to be able to highlight the people behind the scenes because they should be celebrated.
For sure.
I wonder if this falls under the what Jon Favreau calls you don't want to tell people how we make the cake.
True.
Probably
but also people love that stuff.
Just a tiny bit. We don't want to tell them how the cake is made. So we'll give them a little bit, but not everything.
Yeah. I noticed that a lot in these types of things where they will tell you a little bit, but then I'm always so curious. Like when we talked to Sam recently, I had like a million questions that were just very minute, specific questions. We didn't get to any of them, but they were just like probably little annoying questions like, yeah, but did this thing do this? And you know, like.
We can have him back on for the Patreon.
No, I'll just get his phone number and I can just text him. And
I'm sure he'd love to talk about it.
I have his email. I'll just email him.
Yeah. You know who said they wanted to come back is Ron Moore.
I think people would love that.
I think they would. We'll have to hold on to that for a while.
Yeah, maybe if you're listening and you want Ron Moore back, send us some questions you think we should ask Ron Moore. We'll save them for when we get them.
We should probably get into the Mailsack, right?
Oh, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Mailsack, we're going to the Mailsack. Mailsack, why are we calling it Mailsack?
And then just like 2%. Just kidding.
This is not the Patreon section, though.
It's not the Patreon section. We're not there yet.
No.
We're not there.
But get those challenge coins, guys.
Get those challenge coins, folks.
Go sign up and get those challenge coins.
Yeah, and everything else, the live shows, like so much fun.
Yeah.
So much fun. You can send your questions, comments to the Sackhoff Show at gmail.com.
Or leave a comment on the YouTube or on Instagram.
Yeah.
We're looking at them.
But, you know, if you want to join the Patreon, guys, that is patreon.com/the Sackhoff Show. It's a really fun community that we're building over there, and there's lots of great perks. So come on, check it out, and you get access to a lot of great stuff from this show and just from me in general.
Yeah.
At Bonzo Kilborn. I don't have my glasses on. It says, I legitimately don't understand why people want to stay stuck in the past with TV and movies. Everything has its time and then it ends. Captain Kirk was great, but if they could have deep faked in the 80s, would we have skipped all of the Trek that came after the original? I saw this comment and I was a little like,
it's a thinker.
So you didn't like it?
Yeah, they might have been their thought. Yeah.
I mean, I don't disagree, right? I mean, I don't disagree with this. I don't disagree that there is a lack of imagination. Listen, that is not what it's about. You and I both know this, Jeph. It's not lack of imagination.
Yeah.
It is fear of failure at the studio level. People are looking for sure things. We've talked about this before when we're talking about intellectual property and IP and why your movie will do better if it's called Ghostbusters than if it's just a movie about people that go like bust ghosts. You know what I mean? Because you've got that recognition. So I don't disagree with you. I love seeing new creative movies that haven't been done before with new filmmakers, new writers, new cast, I love that too. But I think
think there's a people look back with rose-colored glasses too. And I think the version of what we're seeing now where people are mining IP was also happening in the 80s. Like maybe they weren't able to literally like cut and paste people's faces. Yeah. But I mean, Star Trek, not that it's bad and it worked, but in and of itself the Next Generation was recycling an IP that had already existed that people liked. And yes, it's something that we liked and turned out to be good, but that's an example of sometimes how redoing IP. I'm sure there were people at the time saying, why do we need to bring back Star Trek? Just give us a new show.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure they were.
I mean, Battlestar, we talked about this before too. It's like, if we would have put a hard stop and been like, Battlestar's already been done, we can't do it again.
You wouldn't have had the best TV show of all time.
Exactly. And no
Which
argument
I haven't
there.
Watched.
No argument there. Yeah.
People tell me all the time how great it is.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right.
People tell me all the time.
There's some good people in it, and there's some not so good people in it, but
I was at the premiere of Fight or Flight, and I was talking to Josh Hartnett, as you will. I can't just call him Josh. Josh Hartnett. And he was like talking about Battlestar Galactica, and he was just like, in this thing, and I was like,
You remember that specific scene?
I was like, I haven't seen it. And he was like, you haven't seen it? And I was like, no. No. Have you watched The Faculty?
Yeah. Or H2O. I was going to say, have you guys ever talked about how you're both in Halloween movies?
I didn't. We didn't talk about it. God, I would love to work with him again. I didn't really get to know him at all in Budapest when we were filming.
Yeah, you guys weren't really sharing scenes, right? No,
not at all. And I would love to work with him. He's so talented. He's so funny. He's a really nice guy. I liked spending time with him over the press weekend.
Does he want to do the podcast?
I mean, maybe. I don't know. He's very private. He doesn't really talk about himself much.
We can talk about Battlestar with him.
He can be on the Patreon, watch Battlestar with me.
Yeah.
Roger says, so what I am hearing is there could be enough of Majel Barrett's voice.
Majel Barrett.
Okay, so what I am hearing is there could be enough of Majel Barrett's voice that someone could use her to replace Siri and Alexa with the Star Trek computer voice. Maybe if we asked Eugene Roddenberry really nicely.
Does that mean anything to you? Because I corrected you on the name and then you still said it wrong.
I don't know anything about
Majel Barrett. That's Gene Roddenberry's wife, who famously played a nurse on the original Star Trek. Remember Nurse Chapel?
Yeah.
She played Nurse Chapel and then went on more famously to be the voice of the computer in all of Star Trek and played Deanna Troy's mom in Next Generation.
Oh, yeah.
So there is, and this is something I was actually curious about. I don't know if it's actually come up or not, but like they could theoretically clone her voice and use her throughout Star Trek for the rest of history as computer.
Oh, yeah.
It's the same thing in Star Wars. There was, when James Earl Jones died, it came out that he had signed a licensing deal that they could use his voice still for Darth Vader. So that was something we were sort of talking about with Sam a little bit when we were talking about the dialogue.
I think that if you have an executor of your estate as an actor after you're gone, and I'm just thinking out loud here, like if I was in her situation, and I had an executor of my estate, and I also allowed them to be in charge of that, I can't imagine that I would be like, I'm dead.
Yeah.
Like, why shouldn't my family make money off of that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think every parent just wants, when you're alive, your goal is to make sure that your children are taken care of after you're gone. What better way to be like, here, use my voice in perpetuity to make sure you're all taken care of?
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe, but I could change my mind. I don't know if that's how I will always feel, but right now it seems like not a bad idea. Okay, what else?
Well, I think this is where we say goodbye and go into our next section.
It is where we say goodbye to everybody here. We are going into the Patreon section now. If you are not a member of Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/The Sackhoff Show. And other than that, we will see you next Tuesday, and that's what's up.